dear friends in Dhamma. We will continue our Dhamma talk on Alavaka Sutta. Last time we discussed about what is the greatest wealth here for an individual, and what, when well practiced, brings happiness. What is the sweetest of tastes? What manner of living is considered the noblest life? So these four questions was asked by Alavaka to the Buddha. Then the Buddha replied, faith is the greatest wealth here for an individual. And the second answer, wholesome course of actions, when well practiced, brings happiness. This is the second answer. The truth is the sweetest of all tastes. Third answer by the Buddha. The fourth answer is, living by wisdom is considered the noblest life. So we have discussed about these four answers given by the Buddha, and we try to understand with the different teachings of the Buddha. Now there are some more questions were asked by Alavaka to the Buddha. The following questions are in Pali language. Katangsu tarati yogham, katangsu tarati annavang, katangsu dukkha maccheti, katangsu parisujjhati. Translation is, how does one cross the flood? How does one cross the ocean? How does one outgrow suffering? How does one wholly purified? So these were the answered by the Buddha to the Alavaka. Now we will try to understand the very first answered. These were the questions asked by the Alavaka. How does one crosses the flood? Flood means, in the teachings of the Buddha, it is about the four kind of, like there are four kinds of oga, floods. The very first oga is kama, sensual pleasures. Second, seeking for birth and thinking that I will be continuing in the next birth. There will be something which continue. And Ditthi Yoga, that this mind and body is mine. Avidya Yoga, Four Noble Truths, not knowing Four Noble Truths is Avidya Yoga. So here when this question was asked, how does one crosses the flood, the Buddha answered this question in this way: by faith does one cross the flood. By faith, by having faith, a person can overcome sensual pleasures, or one can overcome this flood. In the previous discourse we discussed, like a patient visit to the doctor, and he had some medicine from the doctor, and he overcome his suffering by taking that particular medicines. Knowing that this doctor has given a proper medicine to overcome my suffering, and by the time he also healed, he become healthy by taking that medicine. Similarly, when you undertake the training of the Buddha, the three trainings of the Buddha, Sila, Samadhi, Panya, morality, meditation and wisdom, when you train yourself in these trainings, and while you practice these trainings, you become healed, you overcome some suffering, and then you generate faith, confidence, conviction to the practice. And when you generate this conviction to the practice, then surely you will find the causes of suffering, the suffering which you are having right now. There are different kind of suffering we can experience in this world. Suffering of aging, we don't want to age. Suffering of separating from beloved one. Suffering from sickness, suffering from death, and suffering from what we like and we wish to get and we don't get. That is also one kind of suffering. To overcome this suffering, when you take this method of the Buddha, you practice, and when you practice, you come to experience that somewhat suffering you have already overcome. Like, you know the nature of the world. You know the nature of the world. When I say the nature of the world, which means the nature of this body and mind. We know we cannot change the nature of this body. We cannot change the nature of this body. And similarly, we cannot change the nature of others' body. I also subject of aging. The other person also subject of aging. And one day we all have to pass away. By taking this understanding, by grasping this method, we come to experience the true nature. And whenever we have these experiences like passing away of beloved one, we will not be suffer. We accept the reality. Yeah, someday this element has to be exhausted, and we accept that they are impermanent. And when we experience, when we see these things, we accept the reality, then we don't suffer. Now, this is like in day-to-day life. When we go into the depth, into our mind, and when we pursued for the reality, for the liberation of the mind, then for the liberation of the mind, we find some impurities of the mind. And we find that there are many impurities. There is greed, hatred and delusions in the mind. There is attachment, there is craving. As long as there exist in our mind, the mind cannot be freed from. The mind cannot experience enlightenment or freedom from this world age. Then only we can take this meditation very sincerely, seriously, and put into the practice, and we will work on that, and we will try to purify our mind. So here in this context, the Buddha says faith which helps you to overcome the flood. Here, when you practice this Dhamma and some suffering when you overcome, then you will develop the faith towards the practice of Dhamma. And in this context, when we refer the book's text, we find that it is told about some enlightened beings. So first we will discuss this, then we will go little bit deeper. The second answer given by the Buddha for the question 2, that is, how does one crosses the ocean? The answer is, by vigilance does one cross the ocean, which means ocean means the repeated birth and death. It can be overcome by vigilance, by practicing of vigilance or mindfulness. So this is the second answered by the Buddha. The third question was, how does one outgrow suffering? The Buddha answered, by right effort does one outgrow suffering, which means of the world, the existence of the world. The fourth answer is, the question was, how is one wholly purified? The answer is, by wisdom is one wholly purified. So it is related to understand this. Let us try to discuss on one of the sutta which Buddha taught. This sutta will help you to understand these 4 questions. So we will try to see this sutra. So this sutra is about 4 types of individual that can be found in this world. The very first individual, the very first person in this world is like the person who sinks into the water and remain sunk. This is the one individual can be found in the world. Second person is the person who coming on surface of the water and again he sinks into the water. This is the second type of person. The third type of person is coming on the surface of the water, he stays there. This is the third type of person. The fourth type of person is coming on surface of the water, he looks here and there. This is the fourth type of the person, individual that can be found in the world. Then the Buddha said, there is fifth type of person, individual, that is coming on surface of the water, he crosses the water. This is one of the type of the person. Fifth type of the person. Then sixth type of person is the person coming on the surface of the water and he found a foothold. He found a place where he can stand. This is the sixth type of the person. Now the seventh type of the person is, the Buddha said, coming on the surface of the water, and he crossed the water and he stood on the top of the hill, a place where that place is quite high. On that high place he stand. So this is the seven seventh type of the person, seventh type of individual. So let us try to understand the very first type of the individual, the very first type of person. The Buddha explained about the very first kind of person is the person who sink into the water and remains sunk into the water, is like this. The person who is exclusively bad, possessed with bad qualities, and he remains in those bad qualities. This is the first type of person, first type of individual. The second type of individual is having coming on surface of the water, and again he sinks into the water. So this type of person is like this. The person who thinks that goodness, he found goodness, he liked goodness, he found goodness in the good activities, and he thinks that having moral shame is good. He thinks like that moral fear is good, effort is good, and he also thinks that wisdom about wholesome actions, wisdom about dharma, wisdom about right dhamma, right wholesome qualities is good. He thinks like this, but he never remains with these qualities, and the qualities also not grows, increase, but those qualities waste away. They vanish, all those qualities. It is the Buddha telling about second type of person who having coming on the surface of the water, and he again sinks down, sinks into the water. It is the Buddha explaining about that person, the person who knows that there are good qualities. Having good quality is good. Having conviction in the Dhamma is good. Having believing that effort is good, and having moral shame and moral fear is good, even though he is not practicing them. He is not putting them into the practice. He is not developing them, but those qualities, by the time slowly those qualities are finished, waste away. So this is the second type of the person. Then the third type of person is, the Buddha explained, like the person who comes on the surface of the water and stand there. He remains there, but he remains there. He does not sink into the water. He remains there. It is like an individual who found goodness in the moral conduct, moral activities, and he found that having conviction, faith is good, having moral shame is good, having moral fear is good, and having right effort is good, but he neither developed them or his wisdom also, he found that he cannot develop them, and nor their qualities are destroyed, or not their qualities, or not his qualities are wasted away. He is just there. The qualities are just there, but he is not putting effort to develop them more. So this is the third type of individual who has come to the surface of the water, and he stays there, he remains there. Then the Buddha said, Buddha explaining about fourth type of person, that is the person who has come to the surface of the water and looks around. This type of person is things like these, the finding good in the wholesome activities, and taking that having faith is good, having conviction is good, and having moral fear is good, having moral shame is good, having effort is good. And this fourth type of person, by practicing like this, by thinking like this, he is able to destroy three types of fetters, which is Sakkaya Ditthi, Vichikichcha, Silavata Paramasa. Sakkaya Ditthi means wrong view, self-identity, that this body is mine, the sense basis are mine, and whatever I experience, the objects are mine. Thinking like this is called self-identity, Sakkaya Ditthi. And Vichikichcha is doubt about the practice, doubt about the Buddha, doubt about the Dhamma, doubt about the Sangha. When you practice, there will be doubts in the practice. And the third kind of fetter is the fetter about rites and rituals. Thinking like, oh, by doing this rites and ritual, I will attain enlightenment. These rites and rituals caused to me for attaining enlightenment. So these are the three fetters which are totally uprooted, totally eliminated, totally destroyed by this fourth type of individual, fourth type of person. He could done this because of having faith, thinking that goodness, moral conduct, wholesome qualities are good, and moral shame is good, moral fear is good, effort is good. Having these great qualities, he put them into the practice, he developed them, he increased them. By practicing these great qualities, he achieved enlightenment. This is enlightenment called Sotapatti, Magga and Phala, the very first stage of enlightenment. This is the fourth person who crosses the flood. We were discussing about the answer, no? Saddhaya tarati yogam, katangsu tarati yogam, the very first question. How does one crosses the flood? The Buddha gave answer. By faith does one cross the flood. So here the fourth type of person done this. He crossed the flood. The flood of wrong understanding. He crossed that. He uprooted, he destroyed these three fetters. The self-identity, and doubt and rites and ritual. The fetter of rites and ritual. These three fetters he destroyed. And we can take this as he overcome the flood by faith, as there is one quality, thinking that faith is good, accepting that having faith is good, and other great qualities like having moral shame and moral fear are good. By thinking like this, he put them into the practice and he overcome this flood. So this is the fourth type of person. Now let us see the fifth type of person. The Buddha said, having coming on surface of the water, he moves, he try to cross. This type of person is having faith. He thinks that the wholesome qualities are good, conviction is good, moral shame is good, moral fear is good. And like this person is weakened, reduced, lust, ill will and ignorance. So this type of person is second enlightenment person, Sagadagami. We called him Sagadagami. Sagadagami means once returner. He will come only once. No more birth, no more rebirth. So this type of person can also come into the first question, that he also overcome the flood. Then the Buddha said, this was the sixth type of the person, and then the Buddha said, this was the fifth and sixth, yeah. Now the sixth type of the person is coming on the surface of the water, he found a place, a foothold, he remains there. This person is like this. He thinks wholesome is good, wholesome course is good, wholesome conduct is good, moral fear is good, moral shame is good, and faith is good. Likewise, having these great qualities, he is able to eliminate, to destroy 5 types of fetters. So those 5 types of fetters are like the three first we have discussed, like Sakkaya Ditthi, self-identity view, Skepture, and Vichikicha, that is doubt, and Silavata Paramasa, that is attachment to mere rites and rituals. Then 2 more, that is Kama Raga, that is desire for sensual pleasure, and Patigha, that is ill will. These 2, total 5, 3 first 3 and these 2 are totally eliminated, totally destroyed by this 6 type of person. Now we will discuss the 7 type of person. The 7th type of person is the The person having coming on surface of the water, he crossed the water and he firmly stand on a height place. On a height place he stood there. This type of person is Arhanta, the fourth type of enlightenment, the fourth type of person who attain enlightenment. As I said, as the Buddha said, there are four type of enlightenment. Sotapanna, there is Sotapanna, which means stream winner. There will be only 7 rebirth for him. And the second type of enlightenment is Sagadagami. Whoever attains this second type of enlightenment, he is the once returner. And third type of enlightenment is Anagami. The person who attains this third type of the person called non-returner. He will not return. He will born somewhere in the Suddhavasas, in Brahmalokas, like in Suddhavasas. From there he will attain final enlightenment. And the fourth type of enlightenment is we call Arhantahood. This Arhantahood, like the person who eradicate all the fetters, 10 fetters. So what are the 10 fetters? Like we have discussed about 5 fetters. Sakkaya Ditthi, which is self identity, and Vichikicha, doubt about practice, doubt about the Buddha, doubt about Dhamma, doubt about Sangha, and attachment to the rites and rituals. Then fourth one is Kamaraga, which is sensual desire. Fifth is Patigha, which means ill will. Sixth, Ruparaga, willing for attachment for Ruparaga, means passion for form, for Rupa, or you can say desire for reborn in Brahmaloka. And then seventh is Aruparaga, desire for born in Arupa Brahmas. Eighth is conceit, that is mana in Pali, pride. Ninth, Udacha, which is restlessness of the mind. And 10th is ignorance. We called it in Pali Avijja, not knowing Four Noble Truths. So remaining 5 are completely destroyed by an Arhanta, an enlightened, fully enlightened being. So we can see in this answer of the Buddha, now we can track, we can understand. The first answer was given by the Buddha is, by faith one cross the flood. And the second, by being mindful, you can cross the ocean. That is, ocean means repeated birth and death. As you can see, the first type of enlightenment, he will take 7 more birth, Sotapanna. Second, he will return only once, Sagadagami. And those who attain third type of enlightenment, they have only 1 birth. They will reborn in Suddhavasas, somewhere in above human, in Suddhavasa. This is the third type of person, but still they have birth. The fourth one is Arhanta, who eradicated these 10 type of fetters. This type of person, the Buddha answered here, he overcome this ocean of birth and death. The Arhanta should be understood here. Now the second is the question like the third question was, how does one outgrow suffering? The Buddha's answer, by right effort one can outgrow suffering of worldly existence. Whatever there is suffering, you can overcome it by right effort. So what is the right effort? The Buddha said, the right effort is whatever you must strive that unwholesome qualities should not arise in your mind. If unwholesome qualities are arisen already, then you must strive, you must try, you must work that those qualities should not grow more. And you must try, you must strive to develop good qualities. If there is no good qualities, then you should try to develop good qualities. If there is already good qualities, you must develop them into more strong qualities. You should develop them. You should develop the good qualities which still not arise. Like you have loving kindness. If there is no karuna, you should develop to. If the karuna is not yet arisen, you should try to arise karuna into the heart. If there is no calmness, you have only metta. After metta meditation, still the mind is not calm. So you must try to produce calmness. You must try to generate calmness into the heart. So this is the called right effort by the Buddha. If there is any arising unwholesome thought, you must try to remove it, and you should not allow another unwholesome thoughts. If there is no wholesome thought, you must try to arise wholesome thought. So by practicing this effort, you can remove suffering. You can, in this way, the right effort can, as the Buddha answered in this answer, that by right effort does one outgrow the suffering. One can remove suffering, because these thoughts becomes the cause of suffering. And the fourth question was, how is one wholly purified? The Buddha answered, by wisdom one wholly purified. If you have wisdom, then by the help of the wisdom, by practicing wisdom, by developing wisdom, you can be completely purified. So these are the 4 answers by the Buddha. So I hope you understand these 4 great answers by the Buddha to the Alavaka Yakha. Now altogether we have studied 8 questions and 8 answers from the Buddha. With this talk, I conclude here with the best wishes that may you all be happy, may you all be peaceful, may you all be freed from dangers and accidents. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now we will wish for everyone, for all beings, by reciting loving kindness, metta bhavana, and we conclude this Sunday Dhamma program here. Sukhim haveyani dukkho aham nicham aham viya hita cha me sukhi hanto मज्जाता च थवेरिनो इमां हि गामखेतं हि सत्ताहं तु सुखी सदा ततो परञ्च लज्जेषु चखवालेषु जन्तनो सा